Microdose, yeah. Microdose, 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 dose. Microdose, microdose, dose. Microdose, microdose, dose.
What's good, y'all? Kush Hayes here, coming to you with another edition of the Microdose. And while this is an audio form, if you watch the Waffle Box podcast, the original Waffle Box, blah 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 blah, you will see I have returned to my corporeal form, and it was quite exciting. There was some dirty government agents. There was a car chase or two, a fight or two. There was a Selma Hayek in her 40s type, and then despite having so many chases and so much danger, we still found the time to make love. And then after a thrilling climax on the top of a crane in the middle of the rain, I succeeded my oppressors, and then the invisibility just washed off here. Steven Steinbacher, my guest tonight. I know you have no idea what that means, but what's good, yo?
That sounds good. Whatever you just described, I'm down for sure. Would you like to elaborate on the journey you just took?
Clearly, you're not a watcher of the Waffle Box podcast, but for our Halloween episode, it turned out that I was invisible.
Oh, that's a good bit.
Yeah. It's a whole story. I was invited to the Genentech laboratories. The old man was talking a little bit too much, and I snuck off into a restricted area. And the next thing I know, there was a big flash of white light, and I was invisible, Stephen. It only lasted a week, but thank God, everything's back to normal. But yeah, man, it was very exciting. It was dramatic. I killed a guy. Holy shit!
How'd you kill him?
He fell off a roof.
Oh, that's sort of like, it's not you so much as the fall killing him.
True. But anyways, how are you doing, my friend? Welcome back to the show. It's been a while. Glad to have you here. Also, happy 53 days until Mariah Carey is no longer in your ear.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a good way of putting that. I'm doing pretty well. It's definitely been a minute since I've been on the show. But I've been busy working on films, working on, personal stuff, growing as a human, all sorts of wonderful moments.
That's what's up. Wonderful. Speaking about films, you're familiar with a strike going on here? A little strike, nothing big. It's not. Yeah, the SAG-AFTRA union, and I'm in support of the union. They their contract came up about 100+ days ago, and they were just like, "Hey, we like everything in the contract, but we got a couple things that need to be touched up." There's this thing called AI. And we're we're a little nervous about it. And you know what? I support that 100%, as they should be a little nervous about that. Unless they want that in their thing, it should not be a thing. Like Tom Cruise and Will Smith, I can see us going to see a Tom Cruise movie 50 years from now. I'm going like, man, he still got it. Son of a bitch. Yeah. And then there's this other thing that's been kind of a cultural phenomenon called streaming media, and well, there's been no royalties for it apparently. Steven Steinbacher, I also agree with him 100%. That should be a thing. They should get royalties for it, and how they get the royalties for that is what the negotiations are for. However, for whatever reason, the two sides have not been able to meet on these two subjects. I'm sure there are other subjects we've not been privy to, but yeah, they have not been able to meet. It's been over 100 days, and unless everybody is seen eye to eye, I think the day that this episode airs, sir, the strikes will continue on through the holidays and into 2024, and that is going to be a problem. That's a lot of livelihoods. That's a whole industry. That's several communities, man. Honestly, like I'm not being facetious here. I'm not being sarcastic. Like that's real shit. You following me so far?
Yeah, it's not just media, it's people's jobs, and it's what people thrive on.
That's exactly what I'm talking about here. So one of the things going on during the strike, and the writer strike finally ended about 3 weeks ago, I want to say at this point.
Yeah.
But even when the writer strike was going on, it's like, obviously, don't write anything stupid. Don't act in anything stupid. But then SAG-AFTRA was like, well, all right, you're kind of part of an indie production. You didn't do Warner Brothers or Paramount, but yeah, be really nice if this little indie darling could get some eyeballs. So yeah, you may go and do promotion for it and may talk about it and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And at first I was like, yeah, all right. But then it just the strikes kept going on and on and on. And well, next week, 1 week from this week's release, a brand new Hunger Games movie is coming out. And SAG-AFTRA has decided, yes, Hunger Games staff, you're going to get to promote this blockbuster movie because
Right.
Lionsgate is not a Paramount or a Universal or an etc. And it's just like, bitch, what the fuck are you doing? This is dumb.
It's either everyone should be able to do it or nobody, right? Like it's a little strange to be
Yes.
picky with the major studios like that, for sure.
And then the folks that are on strike or in support of the strikes. By the way, again, I think we both talked about this off air. We are both in support of the strikes. Again,
Absolutely.
AI
for
dangerous. Sure. AI is dangerous, and royalties for streaming need to be amended. Like that needs to be tightened up a lot, not a little bit, a lot. But when you're allowing this and that, what's the fucking point? It's you're literally now helping. The point of the promotion is to help the movie make money. Who's making money from the movie? The studios. Lionsgate, well, not an indie house. They're up there.
They have billion-dollar franchises, right? Like that's at what point?
Like the Hunger Games. Yes, sir.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sir. I think Saw's in there, like again and again. So it's I'm a little frustrated at this point. About a month ago, maybe even 6 weeks ago, Drew Barrymore was just like, hey, we talked to the WGA, we got approval. The 3 guys that are on strike, we're going to let them be on strike. Nothing's going to happen to their jobs. We hope this ends soon and that we welcome them back as soon as we can. But the other 100 people here have to go back to work. It's been 5 months at this point. The other 100 people have to go back to work. And I was like, yeah, you do that, Drew Barrymore. And I was like, yeah, are we really going to let 3 people inconvenience the lives of 100 people? Because it's a daytime talk show. There's no AI involved in this. There's no residuals from this. Like it's a daytime. It's disposable content. It's maybe seen twice, depending on the market, in that 24-hour period, and it is immediately forgotten. And the internet striking community came after me. Like I went into a, maybe I'm being a little dramatic here, but I got into like a real serious debate, and it became one of those things where like we're both just going back and forth, and I appreciate my opponent's passion.
Yeah.
But at some point he or she is declaring like, you're either wrong or you're spreading misinformation. I was like, no, bitch, I'm getting this information out of Variety. Like my source is legit. Your source just says, I don't like this is happening.
Yeah.
Right? But at some point, after about an hour and a half of this shit on Facebook, we both agreed to disagree, that neither one of us was going to change each other's minds, and that we should shake hands and wish each other well. And again, we both approve of the strike happening.
Yeah.
And after that, 2 hours later, some dickhead decided to come into the conversation 2 hours late after it ended and screenshot everything and then post it all over my profile and like sending me weird direct messages. And I was like, oh, no. We're not engaging in this. Block and delete. No, stupid. We're not doing this.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody who was upset about that little incident doesn't give a shit about the Hunger Games. They also don't care that Timothy Chalamet hosted Saturday Night Live the other night.
Right.
Now, I don't know if he's in the union, but he's done 2 Dune movies, and he's kind of a big name these days. So
he's a big part of a lot of the projects right now that are being pushed back because of
Willy Wonka
strikes. So yeah.
I can't imagine how he wouldn't be in the union, but for whatever reason, he's allowed to act on Saturday Night Live. And when I brought this up, someone was like, he's not promoting anything. Saturday Night Live is not a talk show. He's acting.
He's acting, and also like it's a vehicle to promote these new things regardless of what anyone says. That's why they book who they do when they do on Saturday Night Live.
Simu Liu, Shang-Chi, for those in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He was on Jimmy Kimmel a couple nights ago, but you know what? Promoting a cookbook. I don't know if that guy has anything else past the Barbie movie, but he was just promoting a cookbook, so that I got. He was
Yeah.
just like, yo, man, I made 101 ramen recipes. And I was like, good for you, Simu. That's what's up, dude. But then for some reason, no one gives a shit about Saturday Night Live. I understand Saturday Night Live is probably not a union house. However, there's no picketers out there either.
Right.
It's very it's this what Chris Rock was going about on his latest mess. It's selective outrage, and yeah, I'm a little irritated about it. If you couldn't tell, Steven Steinbacher. So, having given you all this information, do you have any extra details? Again, strike is very important. Residuals, very important. AI, no mass.
The way studios have just been deleting content as well to even avoid the residual conversation, I think equally fucked up to the rest of that. And I hope it's something that'll get resolved through these strikes. I don't know if it will.
Is that part of the strike argument as well? I honestly did not know that.
I thought it was, but I'm not sure. Because I remember that was mostly not, with HBO or Max, whatever they're calling it now.
Disney Plus dropped Willow. It was already done. They released it, and then they went, no one's watching this shit, so let's delete it from the server. And
what? They deleted that Willow show already? Yeah. So that's exactly what I'm talking about.
You're not going to see it now.
That's crazy.
I don't give a shit about Willow, but that
didn't even come out that long ago, though.
It was out for about maybe 2 months, and then they just went
insane.
Delete.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I'm talking about, is them saying, oh, we didn't make the money we thought off of this. We're not going to make any residuals off of it, so we're not going to pay anyone in case it does make any residuals, and they just delete it. And I think that's like just as bad as anything else they're striking over. That's scary. Like a lot of animated content got deleted entirely from Max. They killed that Batwoman movie people were excited for.
The Batwoman movie is crazy, not just because they deleted it or they just killed the entire project when it was like, what, 95% complete? I think it was in post-production. I think it was already
just needed VFX finished. I think the edit was basically done. Yeah.
But when I saw Blue Beetle, and I went, you guys decided to upgrade this, to cancel that? Like, I can't imagine Batwoman being better or worse than Blue Beetle, but at the same time, it's like it was right there, man. Just spent $70 million on the Snyder cut, which was better than the Whedon cut, but still, this is what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm with you. Or like Ezra Miller, in as much trouble as they were in, they chose to keep investing in the Flash and keep changing the Flash and like making that a bigger and bigger movie with this huge theatrical rollout. And the theater I work at, Past Lives was making more per screen than the Flash was when that movie came out because people didn't want to support that film, I think. So it's so crazy to me that something that didn't really have any problematic qualities like Batwoman got flushed, and instead of the movie with 3 Ezra Millers.
What's crazy also about Batwoman is that it had, brand new millennial darling Brendan Fraser in it, doing what people are like, this is like one of his greatest pieces is what the internet rumors were saying, is like he's a great villain, and maybe he was, I don't know, but yeah, it's really weird that the guy who just won the Academy Award had an entire movie just scraped off the earth.
It's insane, honestly. Like, and not a cheap, that was like a $90 million movie. Like, it wasn't like a cheap thing. I mean, they must have found a way to do the math to make that make sense for them, but just crazy. Again,
it's a tax write-off. There was I want to say it was 2013, maybe it was 2012. Whenever Disney's The Lone Ranger came out, the Friday night that it debuted, the Kevin Hart comedy theater special made way more money than it. Ultimately, The Lone Ranger would actually overpass the entire weekend, and I think it even came in at #1, but like it was declared immediately a bomb.
A flop,
and I want to say it cost about $300 million, and maybe that's not including the budget, and maybe the marketing budget, and maybe the marketing budget like added up to like $500 million. But then a report from Forbes came out and was like, this isn't even like 1% of Disney's losses, so don't feel bad about that. And I was like, okay, I won't.
That was crazy that they invested that much in that picture. I mean, obviously Gore Verbinski was riding off the high of the Pirates movies, but just what a strange product to put $500 million in the 2010s.
It could have been good. I never saw it,
There's some cool stuff in that
it's
movie. I'm not even a hater of that film. It's just like,
okay.
I think anyone on paper should have been like, this isn't going to make money. At least not $500 million.
I know one dude who thought it's an incredibly fantastic action film. I know Quentin Tarantino was my favorite movie of that year. But yeah, I just had no desire for it. It was like, yeah, no one gives a shit about this or Tarzan. Same author, by the way.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a story that's over a century old, and no one relates to it today. You know. However, anyways, yeah. So yeah, going back to the Batwoman, yeah, the $90 million movie. It's weird that they were just like, fuck it, flush it down the toilet. So I have to believe there's something deeper than that, something pettier that hasn't come to light that we will read about in a biography in 15 years.
They did it to more than just Batwoman. Like there was a Scoob. Do you remember the Scooby-Doo remake or reboot that they did during the pandemic?
No,
it's called Scoob. It was like a young Scooby-Doo.
Okay,
they flushed that as well. That it had like a $40 million budget, was finished, and they flushed that the same week they did Batwoman or Batgirl.
Okay, this must have been a different Scoob then, because there was a Scoob movie that came out during the pandemic.
Yeah,
it was scheduled to come out before a pandemic, but the sequel. Dig it.
It was like a Christmas special or something. But it had a huge budget, and they just totally flushed it. And so I wonder, it was during that the merger with between Warner Brothers and who was the other company? Discovery, right. And so I have to wonder if it was just like a way they needed to like have a certain amount of money written off, and so they just found the amount of product they could get rid of in order to make that happen. But like the change in focus on content, like from HBO Max to Max, like focusing so much more on reality TV and stuff, I have to wonder if any of that's going to pay off. Kind of doubt it. To be determined.
But yeah, lots of weird stuff happening these days within La La Land. So again, you and I agree the strikes are very important. The terms of the strikes are completely important. The execution of this strike is very questionable, and
it's getting weird for sure.
Miss Fran Drescher, we love you, but I don't think you're doing this right. Yeah, that's all I got to say about that. Let's talk about movies.
Oh yeah.
Let's talk about movies that are being released that are getting no promotion. Again, this past weekend, Five Nights at Freddy's came out. We're not going to talk about that past this sentence, but with no promotion.
Did you see it?
I saw it on Peacock.
Oh,
so I saw it for free.
It still made a ton of money, though, didn't it? Despite being
$80 million domestically. And it did what Martin Scorsese could not do, and it was dethrone Taylor Swift out of #1.
Damn.
Yeah, right?
I think it makes sense that like a kid's movie releasing around Halloween with that specific IP would do more gangbusters than a 3.5-hour depressing film. But it is a bummer to see how little Killers of the Flower Moon has been making.
Again, I think the runtime is just destroying it, dude. 3.5 hours. Like, I saw it. It's a very good movie. No, if you say it's a bad movie, I'm going to question your intelligence and ask if you've been dropped on your head and or huffed glue. But it's a very good movie, but even the way it ends, I'm just like, oh, that's how you're ending this? We could have done this an hour ago, sir. Like, I like the ending. I think it's very clever. I like watching the execution of the ending. However, I'm just like, we could have just did this an hour ago, dude. And I'm not one of those guys who go like, what if I have to go pee during the movie? Then I have to go pee. And guess what?
Yeah.
I've got more than 2 brain cells. So when I come back 5 minutes later, I doubt I've missed anything. Or I will catch up very quickly.
A lot of directors will say in interviews they would prefer if you just get up and go pee rather than have like an intermission or anything like that. Like I know Love Diaz, who makes like 5-hour films, would rather people just get up and go pee.
Yeah, just get up and go pee, dude. Fucking or don't drink a pony's keg worth of Pepsi or Coca-Cola. That's
also a good call.
That is an option. The only movie not going to the movie also is an option.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. But I haven't seen Killers of the Flower Moon yet. I definitely want to catch it. It's just that runtime is daunting, and I don't know when I'm going to be free for that because it's like it's too long to catch before work, and I work too late to see it after work any day. So it's like it really has to be on a day off when I don't have anything going on.
So, without spoiling anything for you, it's Scorsese, so it's good. It's very
Yeah, I'm
competently
sure.
directed.
Sure, it's wonderful.
There's even new stuff I've never seen before in a movie. I'm like, wow, the old man did it again. Like
Well,
he presented this scene that I've never seen before, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm in awe. But it's 90 seconds. Great. I'm glad I sat here for 3.5 hours for this 90-second scene. Wonderful. Um, it'll be on Apple Plus or Paramount Plus or both at the same time, since both are involved in it. Uh, but yeah, I can't. If you have a problem with time, if you have a problem with the bathroom, if you have a problem with any small thing, if you have a problem with watching white people fuck over Native Americans, I don't even know if that's the proper nomenclature anymore. Don't go see this in the theater.
yeah,
Wait it out. It's going to be on streaming in 6 weeks. Swear to God, it'll be fine.
I definitely want to try to catch it in the theater just because it's fucking Scorsese. How many more times am I going to get to do that? But
Meh. When your local mom and pop shop does a tribute to Scorsese, like we're showing Killers of the Flower Moon on a Thursday, then you do that.
I wonder how with streaming rights and stuff like novelty showings will work for movies like that. Like I don't feel like I've ever heard of a Netflix original getting like a second run theatrical release.
Most of them are bullshit. That's why, like the
Well,
majority
true.
of them are bullshit.
But The
I wish
Irishman
they weren't.
never got like that second moment, right? Like I missed that little
Irish.
window, and
I don't think you missed anything, brother.
I liked
Honestly.
The Irishman. I just didn't see it in
Good.
theaters.
I did not either. And guess I stand by my statement. Yeah, neither of us missed
Fair.
anything here.
Yeah. No, that's a movie that's definitely great at home just because it's kind of cozy in its own little sad, quiet way. I don't know how that would play in the theater really.
I forget if if The Irishman was Scorsese's first direct to streaming
I believe it
feature.
was.
Okay, well before then, the studios were saying like, "Hey, dude, you got a 4-hour movie here. You need to trim that shit all the way down by a lot." And he would have to
Yeah.
listen to them because they were paying. But Netflix and Apple TV were like, "You do whatever you want. We love you. Do you need a foot massage too? We got that." Like they're giving him carte blanche. And guess what? You need boundaries. Even the greatest auteur, the greatest artist needs boundaries, because otherwise it's just then you get this shit. Again, it's a good movie, but not 3.5 hours worth, yo. So
I find that kind of interesting because like The Wolf of Wall Street's just about 3 hours, right? Like very close to. I think it might be a
we
little
could have
under.
shaved
But
an
that's
hour after that.
maybe so. But that movie was like a huge financial hit, if I recall. Like that movie made pretty good money for what it was.
Huge financial hit and a huge. It made a lot of awards, little gold trophies. That whole season came in. So yeah, that was a success by a lot. Yeah, not going to dispute that.
But it's interesting that with moving to streaming, now his movies are like 30, 40 minutes longer and not having quite the cultural splash that one did. Granted, these are also not as fun movies as those 3 hours of cocaine and debauchery. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see like what his legacy ends up being. Like with his like run from the 2010s on.
Goodfellas.
Yeah.
And then after his death, there'll be a debate about what's better, Goodfellas or Casino, because that's starting to be a thing.
Where do you fall there?
Goodfellas.
Yeah, if I'm gonna watch one, I might put Goodfellas on, but the never-ending montage in Casino, I do think is pretty incredible. Like it's just
Casino's great,
and
it's 3 hours, and I wouldn't recommend you cut a thing out of it, man. Like,
absolutely
but that
not,
was a
yeah.
special circumstance, okay? But at the same time, it was like, still got Goodfellas.
Yeah.
When Goodfellas comes on, take the batteries out of the remote, throw the remote out the window, and just sit there. It doesn't matter if there's an hour and a half or 2 hours left. Like just do it.
Totally.
I totally botched my statement there, but still. Okay, so yeah, Killers of the Flower Moon still good, but does not need to be as long. It needs boundaries. needs a lot of boundaries, and we're because Scorsese is Scorsese. I feel like they're just like this was my complaint with Netflix 5 years ago. Like, yeah, you guys should get in there and talk about some creative control. Don't give them 100%. So,
What's interesting about that with Netflix is they were like claiming they were giving these auteurs full control, but so many of their movies, when they come out of their post production, end up looking exactly the same. Like they have that Netflix sheen to them, despite them not having as like big of a hand in the production as other studios. I've always been curious about that.
I've been hearing things on the internet community about the Netflix camera.
Yes.
There is a list of Netflix approved cameras, which is fascinating to me. I have not seen the list, and even if I did, it would just all look Japanese or Greek to me. It wouldn't make any sense to me. But as a camera guy,
they made that list in 2016, and it's a pretty reasonable list because it's not like you have to be using this one specific model. It's just they have like a range of qualities they want the cameras to have so that they can say all of their original content was made in 4K HDR. So it's like it's just some basic things like they want to make sure the camera can do 10-bit and like just some other like just quality things that most modern cameras would have, like newer cameras. But a camera like the Ari Mini, which a movie Moonlight, which was I think won Best Cinematography in 2016, was shot on. That movie would not have qualified for a Netflix original at the time because that's a 2.6K camera rather than a 4K camera. And that's something nobody's naked eye is ever going to be able to tell, like looking at the two images. So it is sort of like a stupid rule set to have. But I don't think it's like the cameras specifically that makes all these Netflix originals look the same. I think it's really the way they treat the image in post. I think they're just like really hands-on and cheap when it comes to what they do during the post-production.
Holy shit. So this is that time in the episode where I'm embarrassed to say, like, I heard everything you said. It was all in English.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand a word of it. And that's why I'm not a camera guy. That's why I'm not a camera guy.
Fair. Yeah, but basically what I'm trying to say is that like I don't know if the cameras matter as much as what they do after the edit is done. I think they just don't color grade the films very well. They put like a lot of focus effects on in post, and it just kind of makes everything look kind of crummy. Some movies are like innocent. Like there's some Netflix originals I really like, but I do think that's where the specific like, oh, it looks like a Netflix original kind of quality comes from.
I think Netflix has had more success when it comes to things where like they go to some international artist and they're like, here's a bunch of money. Make us something. Don't license it, make it. And the guy from Squid Games went like, oh, okay, but it's gonna be in Korean. That's okay. Here's more money. And you're like, it's gonna be kind of like the Hunger Games or Battle Royale. Oh, here's more money. Just make it. It'll be fine. We can't wait to see it. And sure enough, the Squid Games became like a cultural phenomenon. It was a TV series, but still.
Are they doing more with that?
Yes. So they've made a live action game out of it, where obviously no one dies, but they're going through all the stunts. And then there's apparently going to be a season 2 of the actual drama, which that's dumb. I don't appreciate that. Not everything needs a sequel, guys. Come on.
Definitely. But when it has as big of a cultural splash as that did, kind of makes sense. Like, what else does Netflix have right now that
Stranger Things
out as much over that? Yeah. But even then, I feel like that's got to end soon. There'll be goofy, horrible spinoffs of that probably.
Well, they're supposed to end Stranger Things this year. And again, by the way, with my least than enthusiastic response to Stranger Things, I've not seen an episode of it, but everyone loves it. Why would I question?
It's not great.
Okay. First negative. That's the most negative response I've heard to Stranger Things.
It's very, very competently made. I'll give it that. But it's just sort of like all your favorite 80s stuff in like a little bag with a bad modern polish. Just not what I want. Just go watch E.T. Watch Firestarter.
So we talked about the Killers of the Flower Moon. You haven't seen it yet. I am a positive it's going to make a bunch of nominations for next year's Academy Awards, 2024's Academy Awards. That's assuming that the
It
strike
happens.
ends and it happens. I'm not 100% sure that we're going to see it in Academy Awards, but let's go with this theory anyways. What are you looking forward to in the next 2 months? Because it's the first week of November. This is officially awards nomination season. What do you think is going to get nominated? What are you looking forward to?
So the movies on the horizon that I'm looking forward to, I'm definitely excited for Napoleon. Ridley Scott's pretty hit or miss, but when he hits, he hits. And I'm hoping that one's a hit for sure.
It looks really good.
Yeah, visually it looks wonderful. I'm sure Joaquin's amazing in it. I don't know how much more I really need from a big historical epic than those two qualities, like a great performance and nice photography and spectacle. Who knows though? It could be a sleeper. It could be the dullest movie ever made.
I mean, it again, like you said, it's hit or miss. So last year, was it last year or was it 2 years ago? We got The Last Duel
and House
then
of
a
Gucci.
month and House of Gucci. House of Gucci was absolutely dog shit. But for whatever reason, people shit also on The Last Duel. And I was like, this movie is fucking dope. Like,
yeah,
I remember I think I was telling you the last time we were in like physical presence of each other. I was like, Last Duel is awesome, bro. Like, he does this thing where it's like he's hitting a dude in the face with a knight's glove, but he's like, this isn't violent enough. I'm gonna rip the chainmail off your chest. I'm gonna punch you further in the face with goddamn chainmail. Like, amazing goddamn movie, but because for whatever reason, and I think people just didn't like Matt Damon at the time, everyone was like, yeah, fuck this movie. And it didn't make any money and it made no nominations. And then it kind of became a joke. But did you end up seeing The Last Duel?
I only saw House of Gucci. I still want to see Last Duel. But I liked House of Gucci. I'm not gonna say it was a great movie, but it delivered like a kind of nostalgic, campy quality, I guess, that I didn't expect. Like it's like the kind of movie they were making 15 years ago that wasn't particularly good, but it was there.
I didn't like the House of Gucci. The accents were funny. I will admit that, but they weren't my biggest problem. My biggest problem was the time, as is with most movies. But and again, this isn't the complaint towards the movie. As a guy who has not had a cigarette in 9.5 years, every goddamn scene starts with them lighting a cigarette, and I did not. I've never had more of an urge in the last 10 years to have a cigarette. It was like, oh my god, I need a cigarette right now. This is awful.
It's so funny. Not funny. That's terrible, but also like I just wouldn't expect that movie to be the one that did it, I guess.
There was another movie earlier this year. There was a lot of smoking, and I was like, didn't give a shit. Never had a problem. Didn't care. But yeah, the House of Gucci, I was like, oh my god, I need a cigarette during all of this bullshit. Oh. Anyways, so Napoleon, we both agree, probably going to be pretty great. What's you got another movie on your radar that might come out this year?
I'm interested in Priscilla. I don't know if I'm gonna love Priscilla, but I am curious to see what's going on in that film for sure.
And Priscilla is about
Coppola. Priscilla Presley.
Yeah, it's the sequel, the unofficial sequel to the Elvis biography from last year.
Yeah. What did you think of that one? Did you like it?
I liked the visuals. I liked the music, the theatrical sound, because I did see it in the theater. It was long, but I was like, no, this is it. This is the spectacle I came for. So, but yeah, could have ended a little shorter for what it was. Definitely. I was very impressed to learn as much about the Colonel as I did the entire time. I was just like, oh my god! So the Colonel's just been this Dutch immigrant who's been evading his federal authorities for decades. This is actually a better story than what we're getting with Elvis here right now. You know, and then the whole thing came down to like Elvis never left Las Vegas because apparently the Colonel had a gambling addiction, and they're like, doesn't matter how much money you lose here, just keep giving us Elvis. And they're like, wow, this is amazing. What else are you looking forward to this year?
I'm actually not sure if it's releasing in the next 2 months because I don't know if it has a distributor or not yet. But the new Harmony Korine film Aggro Drift, have you heard of this?
Nope, nope. I know of Harmony Korine. I watched his last movie. I was surprised he was a he. With
The
what was it
Beach
Matthew
Bum,
Modine?
Matthew
The Beach
McConaughey.
Bum.
Yeah,
Wildly disappointed, heavily irritated.
that's one of my favorite movies.
Oh my god, we can't be friends anymore. I might have to fight you now.
I think you need to watch that movie with a different lens at some point on maybe a more
Other than
charitable
high,
day.
other than smoked out of my brains.
It's a movie definitely meant to be watched smoked out of your brains. But I just think it's one of the funniest comedies ever made. It's so mean and unrelenting and so inside this crazy guy's worldview, where it's like everything sort of works out in his favor despite how fucked up he is, kind of endearing in its own crazy way. It's like you're like seeing inside the mind of a madman who's like totally self-obsessed and thinks everyone loves him.
Yep. No, I understood all of that. I understood all of that, but yeah, no bueno.
Well, you probably wouldn't like his other movies then. That's probably his most accessible film. Did you see Spring Breakers with James Franco?
I didn't, but I've heard a lot about that. And
I have a poster for that right here in front of me.
okay, okay, you know, like before James Franco was found out to be officially a creep, I was like, yeah, he seems like a creep, but this is a good movie, anyways.
Well, that movie plays into that in a way that's kind of fun. It's like
I believe
James Franco thinks he's playing the rapper Riff Raff, but
Yep,
really
I'm familiar with Riff Raff.
James Franco's playing himself. Like it's like the most like under a
Ooh.
microscope he's ever been. Like he really kind of is just that guy. And so it's really fun to see like the movie sort of like be built almost as like a cosmically cruel prank around him.
Okay, that's a different perspective than I've ever heard, and yeah, no, I'm seeing it right before me, so yeah, that makes a lot of sense here. And yeah, again, the majority of my exposure to Spring Breakers has been the real Riff Raff and most of his interviews. So, okay.
But Harmony Korine has a new film called Aggro Drift, which has the bad guy from Bad Boys 2 in it as the lead. I don't know his name. And then the rapper Travis Scott is a small role in it, apparently. And otherwise, it doesn't have anyone famous in it. But the gimmick of this movie is that it's shot entirely in infrared, like green and red infrared.
Oh,
And then
cancel.
has
No, I was getting ready to look up the bad guy from Bad Boys 2, and you lost me with everything's in infrared. No, cancel.
Yeah, it's an infrared. It's shot to look like a video game, I guess, and inspired by TikTok and its editing. So it's apparently just it's almost entirely plotless. It's just like this like crazy neon hellscape. It's 80 minutes, and a lot of people don't like it. I can't wait to see it.
I wonder why they hate it. I wonder why they don't like it. Yeah, no, for the folks at home, again, this has always been an audio podcast, but I am shaking my head back and forth. No, we will not even participate in watching this monstrosity. You're a pro wrestling fan, or did I make that up in my head?
Yeah.
Do you know that A24 has Zac Efron in a movie about the Von Erich family this year called The Iron Claw?
That's the family where all the members kind of died of tragic circumstances, right?
The Von Erich family, yeah.
Yeah.
The cursed family from Texas. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. If I recall, the director hasn't done much, which is kind of crazy that they got this feature. But I am excited to see it.
Director is a guy named Sean Durkin, and offhand, I'm not familiar with anything he's done either. But yeah, I'm interested in seeing this film. I was just too young to experience anything of the Von Erichs, but the legacy of that family is so strong that like just standing in line at a wrestling event, it comes up all the fucking time. So I'm absolutely interested in seeing this film. The trailer has my attention. I like everybody that's in it. The other guy that's not Zac Efron, that is not the father, is
awesome cast.
It's an awesome
Paris
cast. Yeah.
Dickinson. He's a young like British actor, but I like him in everything I've seen him in. And then also he's the
Okay, he
guy from
plays David.
the Bear. Yeah.
He also works with Jeremy Allen White, who is the lead of the Bear, who was
Yeah.
also the brother from Shameless, the America's Shameless.
Was there a different Shameless?
Yeah, Shameless originally came out of Ireland.
I had no
And
idea.
And then Showtime was like, yeah, this is a dope show. Let's just remake it. And they got William H. Macy to be a part of it. And, he's great in it. But also, he plays a crackhead that somehow gets laid way more than the average man who doesn't do crack. And it's like, what the fuck? No.
I looked up the director, Sean Durkin, and though I haven't seen any of his stuff, I have heard very good things about it. So I guess I was wrong about him being pretty green. He was part of that filmmaking movement with Antonio Campos. I like After School a lot by him. So
I don't know what that movement is. I'm sorry.
I'm excited for the Iron Claw. Like it looks really good for sure.
It should be pretty good, man. Like the Von Erich family, and again, I never saw any. I have not seen one Von Erich match, and again, there's 8 of those fuckers. So the fact that I haven't seen one of their matches is pretty spectacular. But their legacy is forever. And anytime on the Microdose, I've actually interviewed anybody from Texas, I always ask them, so like, are you a Von Erich person, or are you a Guerrero person? And we're talking about Eddie and Chavo and Mondo and all the other Guerreros, and the answer is always surprising, but it's a lot of fun to talk about. So I'm looking forward to the Iron Claw. The A24 has put it in that position where they want it to win all the little gold trophies.
You think it's like a Best Picture level push they're trying to do?
It's definitely a push. They're definitely wanting it to be a Best Picture. What Five Nights at Freddy's would like it to be a Best Picture.
Well, but
all,
Five Nights at Freddy's isn't going to be campaigning for Best Picture, I guess. Like, do you think this is the movie A24 is going to put all their horses behind?
They will put many horses behind it. I don't know about all of them. A24 is now, despite being an independent studio, they're 12 months in a year. They're putting out 17 pictures a year.
Yeah,
they're big. So they're big enough to the fact that this is one of the horses in their stable. They're like, this one's going to do it. So, and then again, we've how many times have you seen that movie that opens up on December 22nd? This is the one. It's going to get all the nominations and just fizzles out like on December 21st. And you're like, oh no, this is embarrassing. I'm embarrassed to watch this. And everybody that was involved in it. Oh, God.
What was that last year?
Great question. So this wasn't A24's, but they were hoping the Whitney Houston biopic was going to be an Academy Award nomination.
Right. And that didn't go anywhere.
The same people that were involved in Rocket Man and Bohemian Rhapsody were a part of it. So, in theory, they would have got at least best something.
I know Bohemian Rhapsody won Best Editing and Best Actor, but did Rocket Man get any of those nominations? I know people liked that one more, but I don't recall it really doing much at the Oscars.
Best Rocket Man got Best Original Song, which was
there an original
wildly
song
dubious. They made an original song for the movie about the guy who's still alive, but whose biopic we're watching from 35 years ago. Yeah, it is diabolical. And it sounded like something that came out in 1980. It's just like, all right.
That's pretty clever, I suppose. I didn't catch that one because Bohemian Rhapsody was dog shit.
Oh, really? So I didn't love Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm not going to say it wasn't dog shit, but I was just like, if I was with my European friends, we would have probably had a better time with it. There'd have been a lot more weed and probably some wine and whatever. But I remember leaving Bohemian Rhapsody just like, I enjoyed the music.
Well, sure, it's Queen. Like, it's kind of hard to get that wrong.
Yeah, the music was pretty great. I gave a review for it on a Kush Hayes Microdose, not to be mistaken with Microdose. But you guys want to check it out? That does exist in the ethos. Anyways, look, my man, we've talked a lot. I've kept you on the line a lot. Thank you so much for tolerating this night.
It's been wonderful.
You want to promote anything?
Yeah, I'm gonna have a Kickstarter campaign pretty soon for my movie Fade Into You. It's a feature I'm trying to shoot in early next year. And yeah, very excited about that. We're gonna have this gimmick where if you give us a certain amount of money, you'll get a certain amount of never before seen short films. So hopefully that's like a fun way to, get people interested and invested in what we're trying to make.
Do you have my email address?
I can text you and ask for it.
Or can you send me the link on my Facebook Messenger?
Absolutely. The campaign isn't up yet, but it will be in the next week or so. So I'll just give it to you then. No worries about putting it in this time.
Okay. So, folks, I do some stuff around here. You know me. It's the original Waffle Box with friend of the family, Mike Fish. Except no substitutions. It's the original Waffle Box. It's the best part of Wednesdays, the People's Podcast, coming all the way from the feature home of Super Bowl 60. We do this because you love us. We love you because we do this. And for Steven Steinbacher, I've been Kush Hayes. You've been you.
Microdose, 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 yeah, microdose.
From the Bosnet family.
It's getting weird for sure.